Hey, Tourpreneurs, it's Mitch Bach, and just a quick note before we begin today's episode. Tourpreneur is currently sponsored by Google. We're thankful for their support of our community, and we are offering with them a completely free course helping you unlock the power and potential of Google's Things to Do program, which is specifically helping tour operators add their tours to Google in new ways that gives you new exposure and more direct bookings. To learn more, go to tourpreneur.com/Google. And as always, show notes, more resources, links to our newsletter, our business coaching community, and so much more are available on tourpreneur.com. Now to the episode.
Today's episode of the Tourpreneur Podcast is kindly sponsored by Checkfront, the booking platform trusted by over 5,000 tour and activity operators around the world. This month, Checkfront is offering an exclusive 90-day free trial for tourpreneurs. Find out more at checkfront.com/tourpreneur.
Welcome to the Tourpreneur Podcast. Travel industry veteran Shane Whaley will take you on a journey with fellow tourpreneurs, sharing their tips, ideas, insights, and success stories to inspire you to make your tour business the best it can be. And now, here is your host, Shane Whaley.
And welcome to day 19 of the 30-day Things to Do Tour Operator Challenge. Angela, welcome back to Tourpreneur.
Hi, Shane.
What have we got on the docket for day 19?
Well, I have some good news for you because I think you're really going to enjoy today's challenge, but also good news for anybody that's currently listening, because if you're listening to this episode, you're already starting off today's challenge on a really good foot.
And what is today's challenge?
Today, on day 19, you're going to be taking some time to catch up on any Tourpreneur episodes that you may have missed or re-listening to some of your favorites.
That's a very good idea because we do have, first of all, I'm blushing. I find this a huge compliment that you would add this for one of the challenges on the 30-day Things to Do Tour Operator Challenge. And what I would say is that there's over 120 hours worth of content on the Tourpreneur podcast that is free. Obviously I'm a huge fan of podcasts, right, Angela? And, I look at the rankings, I see true crime and ghost stories and sports, which is great, in terms of entertainment. But there's a lot of education to be offered with podcasts as well, which is why I decided to go down that route of creating Tourpreneur, because I felt that going deep is very important. And by that, I mean a 20-minute interview or a newspaper interview or report with someone. I don't think we get to all the meat of that story, but having an hour with someone, or in Joe Rogan's case, he goes 3 hours with people. I wouldn't quite go that far, but we can cover a lot more of, the highs, the lows, the challenges, the successes, the hacks, the tools, the tips, etc. So I think, in this challenge of having 120 plus episodes, there really is something for everyone on the Tourpreneur podcast, isn't there?
Yeah, I agree. And the great thing about podcasts is that you can listen to them while you're driving or while you're cleaning. Unlike a book where you really have to sit down and dedicate time, you can listen to podcasts and you can learn and continue to be inspired and engaged in your career while you're kind of doing some more mundane tasks around the house.
Absolutely. And the whole goal of Tourpreneur was to flatten the learning curve for tour operators by sharing stories from other tour operators. So this isn't academic. I always try with the show to make it about small to medium-sized tour operators. This isn't like the huge, giant tour operators that, frankly, have very little in common with most of us who are small to medium-sized tours. So that's kind of the audience that we cater for. You also list in your PDF, your workbook, some must-listen episodes. So I'm going to put you on the spot here, Angela. What is one of your favorite episodes of Tourpreneur?
Oh man, I suspected you might put me on the spot. So I went back through the library and I actually picked 3 that stood out to me. So the first one is, I'm going to cheat a little and I'm going to shout out your most recent Meet the Res Tech episode that features Checkfront.
Mm-hmm.
So I might be a little biased, but I do think it's great. And I'm also a huge Game of Thrones fan.
Yeah, and he's very engaging guest. I can't wait to host him back on the show again because we spoke off air and it's pretty amazing how he built his tours. Quite the story.
Yeah, Game of Thrones tours is on my bucket list. So I will hopefully be experiencing their tours in person at some point soon.
And you said you had another 2?
I do. So I'm going to mention actually a throwback episode, and it's the episode where I discovered Tourpreneur. I'm not sure of the exact number, but I think it's probably, you had less than 20 episodes by that point. So it's probably somewhere in the late teens, but it was a panel episode featuring Peter Syme and Alex Bainbridge. And you guys discussed sort of the dangers and the potential benefits of some of the moves that the bigger OTAs were making in the space. And that is the episode where I discovered you, Shane.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's actually one of our most popular episodes.
I think it's fascinating. And you, by getting Peter and Alex both on it, you picked a great panel of people.
Yeah, and I think what we try to do there as well is we try to aim the content at small to medium-sized tour operators, because very often, we're running our walking tour and some of us are not really that bothered about, the big OTAs and what's going on in the industry. We just want to produce really good tours. But we purposely on that panel try to inform small to medium-sized tour operators what this shift in the ecosystem of Restec actually means to them.
Totally. And it's so important to understand the dynamics of the market that your business is in. So I think that's incredibly valuable information for sure.
And you picked a third.
Yes. So I was feeling a little bit nostalgic about the time where we met in person, which is live in Orlando at Arrival.
Yes.
You did a series of short, I think they were about 10 minutes episodes. And you actually did one with one of my favorite people in the industry, Todd Kersey.
Yeah.
And he not only has a ton of knowledge, but he's such a dang good speaker, Shane. His voice is very soothing.
He is. We need to get him back on, actually. That's the thing with Tourpreneur. You have these interviews, then I could produce an episode a day, which we are doing for November, but, for a standard show. But yeah, I think that one with Todd was good.
Yeah, he's been in the industry for over 20 years. And whenever I ask him about his business, I actually learn things that I can apply to my own career. So I can only imagine what he can teach other operators.
Absolutely. I will add the links to these 3 that you've mentioned in the show notes, which everyone can find at tourpreneur.com/challenge. And we have every episode for each day of the challenge all on that one page as well that listeners can go and access. And what I would say is, in terms of podcasts, obviously Angela and I are big fans of podcasts, but there's a couple of others, because I'm feeling a little shy here with Tourpreneur being center stage on today's episode. There is a podcast called Social Media Examiner that I love. A lot of the things we're talking about on the 30-day challenge is regarding digital marketing and social media. They have some excellent interviews with experts on Social Media Examiner. And I would also give a shout out to Chris Torres's digital tourism show. Well worth your time adding that to your app as well and listening in some of Chris's episodes. And there is a new one that came out fairly recently. It's a podcast which is through the eyes of a tour guide, and I can add a link to that one as well. So it's not just Tourpreneur that's out there. I mean, great for people who invest an hour a week listening to the show, but we've got lots of other hours that we can invest listening to some of the other tour operator activity related podcasts that are out there as well.
That's great, Shane. Very kind of you to share the glory today.
Well, I'm just such a believer that podcasting can help transform our business and help to really educate us. So I'm always got plenty of podcast recommendations. Thank you for joining us on day 19, Angela.
Thank you, Shane.
Thanks for listening to the Tourpreneur Podcast. Be sure to visit tourpreneur.com to join the conversation and access the show notes, including links to the resources mentioned on today's episode. This is Tourpreneur.